follows your movement. So when you were shifting right there,
sound,
it follows
everything,
your heart.
All right.
You make a noise, it follows.
Thumbs up. Okay. All right. We'd like to welcome everybody and call this city council meeting to order for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. Please let the record show that all of the council members are present with the exception of Councilor Arnold, who is excused, and Councilor Hanson is joining us via WebEx. We've asked Councilor Merrill if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Councilor Hilton if he'll lead us in our invocation.
Everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven.
We bow our heads before Thee at the start of this meeting of the leaders of Riverdale City. We first thank Thee for the blessings Thou hast poured out upon us. We're grateful for the opportunity to live with friends and neighbors in this beautiful spot. Father in heaven, we ask Thy blessings upon the leaders of the city and the employees of the city and the citizens of the city. And we ask for Thy Spirit to be with us tonight as we consider the business of the city and pray that Thou will guide us to do what Thou would have us do. We say these things in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilor Merrill and Councilor Hilton. We now have a time for public comment. This is an opportunity to address the City Council regarding your concerns or ideas. No action will be taken during the public comment. Please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, and please state your name and your city of residence. Come on up to the microphone. Yes. Yep.
All right. My name is Michelle Haggerty, and I reside here in Riverdale. And it's been brought to my attention that there is going to be a group home for youth sex offenders in the area. And that is very concerning to me because I have 2 young children, and I've been told that these youth do not have to be registered sex offenders as well. And it's just very concerning to me. And I don't know, I would like a result to, I don't know, I'm not very good with this, but yeah. Anyway, I should have had somebody else do this, but it's very concerning, and I know that Clearfield City has decided they didn't want that particular group home, the YHA group home, but yet we decided to allow them to be here. So I think that you need to think about and also have make sure that they're meeting codes and things like that, because I have been told that they are not, and that's it.
Ms. Haggerty, just one question. Whereabouts is this going in?
On South Weber Drive,
South Weber Drive.
where Kevin Higgs used to live. Apparently he sold this area, or sold his property to this group, and he's quite happy that he's going to be making lots of money. So it's apparently all about money.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your comments. Okay, seeing no others, we'll move on to presentations and reports. I will go first. I have several things for the meeting tonight. I sent an email to each of the council members that I received from Hill Air Force Base about some indoor air sampling. I went to a meeting last Friday with the mayors of the surrounding cities that surround Hill Air Force Base, and they spent quite a bit of time with us, and they're really anxious. It's something they try to do each year, is get in and test some of the homes. There's chemical plumes under several areas in the Clearfield, Layton, Riverdale, Roy, Sunset, South Weber. All of us have chemical plumes underneath parts of our cities. And they like to get into the houses and set up some monitoring to see if there's any chemicals that are actually leaching into the houses and affecting their air quality inside their homes. Now, the problem with that is people don't like the government coming in their homes and setting up devices. And I can't blame them for that, to be honest. And so they do have trouble getting in some of the homes. And it's a concern because they really want to know if those chemicals are in the home. Some of them are carcinogens, and they want to mitigate that. There's a pretty simple fix. They can put some pipe and a fan in there that clears that chemical out. But I can understand, and so they've asked for our help with getting into those homes, maybe allaying some of those fears. And so the area that's mostly affected is on the south side of Riverdale, is up by the base. They asked if there's any of our council members that live in that area, and we do have 2 that live over there, and you're friends and neighbors with those people, and they may have a little more trust for you, especially the Air Force is willing to go around and knock on doors, but if you were with them, or they might respond a little bit better to Councilor Arnold, Councilor Merrill, if they were there with them, and so they may be asking for your help to try and get into some of those homes. They have a pretty good track record of, we have a few homes that have the mitigation systems installed, but there are some homes that they've never been able to get into. So you never know if ownership's changed, but just watch for that and be aware of it. I had a meeting at the sewer district last night, and they were sharing some of their updated costs with us. They use a lot of chlorine, as you can imagine. And back in January of 2021, a truckload of chlorine cost $8,700. The same truckload costs almost $29,000 now. Jeez. And so usually when the sewer district starts telling us those kind of numbers and stories, it means that they're going to raise rates again. And that's unfortunate, but hopefully we can absorb some of those or pass them on, a small increase to our residents. But they are really struggling. They have fuel costs and oil costs just like we have, and so they're suffering the same pressures that we are. I also sent you a report on affordable housing. This was from the WACOG meeting. It was a great moment to be the mayor of Riverdale because we sat there. We had the Wasatch Front Regional Council there. We had the leaders of all the Weber County cities, the mayors of all of them. We had the county commissioners, and we had some people that had done a study on affordable housing, and they got up and said only 3 cities are currently meeting their percentage of affordable housing. I think Riverdale has about 3% of the county population, and we have about 4% of the affordable or moderate income housing is what it's called. And so it's us, Washington Terrace, and Ogden. All the other cities have more residents than they're supplying housing for. So that was kind of a proud moment for us to actually, because as we all know, there's a big push for that. I did do a press conference today for the Bonneville Communities That Care. It was up at the old Birch Creek Mercantile. It's called the Gandhi Dancer now. It's the ice cream shop up there. It was about underage drinking, and the Communities That Care have been really active. It's the second press conference we've done, and they're working real hard with Parents Empowered to try and get the word out. Weber County is currently about double the state average for underage drinking, tobacco use, and opioid use. Our 12th graders are double the state average, so we're trying to get that down a little bit. Let's see, one other thing. So there's a trail called the Three Gates Trail, and it is the old Bamberger Railroad. And at some point earlier this year, that project had kind of died. They said, we don't have the money for it. It's not going to work. Well, UDOT has to buy a small piece of that railroad for their 5600 interchange. And Union Pacific said that they will not sell them part of that railroad. They have to buy the whole railroad. And so now UDOT's going to pay $20 million for the railroad. And they have the money set aside, but UDOT doesn't want to be in the trail business. And so they're working hard with us and Roy and Ogden to try and come up with a trail of some sort that would go all the way from the Roy Gate and even maybe the new 1800 North interchange all the way into Ogden to the Front Runner Station. And that cuts right through. It goes right past America First. It cuts right across our river bottoms down by the trailhead down there. And we just got to figure out a way to get it over the railroad tracks. And UDOT said they have $3 million earmarked to pave it. So they're just looking for a good public works department to maintain it, they said. So, and I said, we'd be happy to maintain our section. And so, yeah, today might not be the best day for that, but I think it could really end up being a real benefit to our residents, that America First campus that's coming in and stuff. And on a better day, Mr. Douglas might even think that it's a decent idea to have that trail. So, and the last thing I had is went to the Utah League of Cities and Towns conference 2 weeks ago and learned a lot of good stuff. And unfortunately, I did not have any of our council members there with me. And so I would just encourage you guys, there'll be another conference coming up in April. And they're back in full swing. There were so many classes I couldn't pick which ones to go to. There were several good classes. Mr. Brooks was there with me. We would kind of try and split them up. But there were more good classes than we could even make it to. And Counselor Hanson, I believe, went down to a couple of attorney-type classes, and Ms. Maragoni went and learned some more about being a recorder. But it was really 3 days of really good classes. And so hopefully with enough notice we can get you guys to the April one in St. George, because there was a lot of beneficial information. And it's good. You kind of make contacts. We get to interact with the league, kind of share our thoughts with them. And make sure that they know who we are, interact with the other mayors, make sure it's always a good time to sit down and make sure everybody knows that Riverdale isn't the richest city, in Utah. And it's just a good time to kind of to make those connections. And that's all I have. We'll now move on to the city administration report. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got most of the department heads here tonight. And their reports are all in there. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to direct at any one of them? If not, I'll just continue on through the packet. I put the sales tax report in here just because I wanted to point out a couple things. You can kind of see that we're leveling out a little bit. We're not continuing that high growth that we've had, and it's not quite as fast as we was hoping. And I don't think that's a surprise. I heard it mentioned yesterday that our economy is as strong as hell, but I also heard at the same time it was one of those big companies that predicts, the forecast and what's going to happen in the country. Reuters or somebody, I can't remember, but they're really good at predicting things and how things are going to go. And their odds on an inflation and recession hitting us is no longer percentage now. It is 100%. So it is coming. Our sales tax are not going to stay as high as we would like. I mean, that's just a fact. We've got to prepare for that. And that was one of the things, that we discussed in the Truth in Taxation is, when we live and die on sales tax, this is when it gets scary, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But just so you're aware of that, we are, and it does make you somewhat nervous on those kind of things. So Cody's got some good charts in there for you to look at, and you can kind of see where our growth is always continuing up, and we've kind of leveled off at that point. So
Councilor Stevens has a question.
Is this now reflecting without R.C. Willey?
Take your time.
No, because technically it depends when they've reported. And so if they reported all their sales, they closed in June. It usually takes 2 months, so it's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to go look at the detail.
Still includes the R.C. Willey's portion. We haven't seen it without.
Yeah.
Perhaps, but you can see if you look at that report, before we were always, almost every month we were ahead of the last year. And this month we were ahead, but by $4,000 was all. And so we were really almost the exact same as last year. And even and after I put this together, I seen a national news article, and that's what they reported, that things were about flat. And we're seeing that here locally too.
Thank you.
I think the part that scares me the most is where we have a lot of these people looking at us and plan on coming. If all of a sudden that recession hits, that they'll back out of that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hopefully still get them in here and get them up and running so we don't run into too many problems. But and continuing on the department reports, I don't know how many of you looked at the patrol report, but as I was reading through that, I'm thinking, I long for the days when we had speeders and shoplifters. You read this report and it's nothing but weird stuff anymore. I mean, we don't have normal days anymore. I mean, they're long gone. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's bizarre. And there's just, from day to day, they don't know what they're going to run into. But when you get a minute, read through that, because you see what these guys are dealing with on a daily basis. And like I said, man, it's just not the same anymore. It's crazy. And some of this stuff, it's what I see is the things we're seeing on TV, what little you do see, even though we know what's going on, but the things that are happening in these bigger cities are coming this way. A lot of mental illness kind of things that we didn't used to ever see, and now we see it all the time. And it's just crazy, some of the stories I hear and some of these that they put in here. So as far as anniversaries go, nobody on an even numbered year, the 5-year cycle, but Kristen with the fire department's at 18, so she's getting up there. And our own fire chief, Mr. Shawley, at 7 years right there. So some of these go by so fast. I remember when we hired him, same thing with Amy Cummings and Nikki Green. It seemed like it was yesterday. We just hired them, and they're both sitting at 1 year. So congratulations to all them. We appreciate all they do. Mike, did you have anything you want to mention on community development? Just by way of that, Maverick did send me an email and thank those who were able to make it up there. I know Braden, Mayor Mitchell was there, and Alan got there. They were really impressed with our turnout, and I thought it was one of our smaller ones, but they were happy with it, and that went really well. They had a lot of free food, so you missed out on that one too. That was kind of nice. Some of these other ones, a lot of them are really close. I think even Chick-fil-A is getting back again. I think I saw an ad today for employees. They're advertising, shooting for a month out or something. So,
It's longer than that.
is it?
Probably next year.
Okay. That's what they had on that ad, but they're at least looking for employees, so we're making progress and getting there. It'd be nice to get them back open. So that's probably pretty much it as far as our city administrator's report, unless you have any further questions in regards to any of that stuff. So,
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Brooks. And we will now move on to swearing in one of our new police officers, Officer Evan Sullivan.
So, real quick, is this on? Yeah. Real quick, I just want to address. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Michelle.
We're fully aware of that, and you feel free to call on us at any time, and we will.
Is it true that they don't have to be registered? The youth?
Well, I believe they're juveniles, so yeah, they're
Yeah.
not going to be on. They won't be on a registry, but we will do everything we can to make you feel safe. So real quick, Officer Evan Sullivan. So he is not one of our new hires that you just approved in the two new officers. He's a replacement for Joey Clark, who retired. And he is coming to us from Davis County Sheriff's Office. He worked in corrections there for 4 years. And his wife, Melanie, is here, and they're two little ones that are out having fun, running around. And he's off to a really good start so far. He's brand new to patrol work and working his way through that, and he'll be in his field training for probably 12 weeks or so, and then I'm sure he'll be excited to get out there on his own and doing it. But we have full confidence in him that he's going to do an awesome job for the city and the citizens, and he's doing a great job so far. We appreciate having him, and it's always exciting to welcome new officers in. So I'll go ahead and let Michelle swear him in.
Right. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Evan Sullivan,
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend.
that I will support and defend.
Do solemnly swear that
Sorry. I, Evan Sullivan, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the state of Utah
and the state of Utah
against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
And I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
And I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties
as a police officer of the Riverdale City Police Department
as a police officer of the Riverdale City Police Department
under the appointment of the department according to the laws.
under the Department of,
According to the laws
according to the laws
of the state of Utah.
of the state of Utah
To the best of my skills and abilities.
to the best of my skills and abilities.
If you want a copy, just come to my office and I'll get you one that's all.
Perfect. Thank you.
Evan, I want to shake your hand. We're happy to have you. Mayor Mitchell, nice to meet you. Yeah, so we're super happy to have you, and hopefully these guys won't haze you too much.
Just a little bit, yeah.
If anything, I brought it on myself. Well, that's super good. We have a great department. We look forward to having you here for a long time. There are a lot of long-time officers, and hopefully we can get you, you know, the point where you're happy here and hopefully stay here for a long time. We always like to recognize the wives. They play a huge role in the police officer's life and your family, your young kids here. You know, our police department's a priority here in Riverdale, and so we really one of our biggest goals is to keep safe. We just know that you have our back, or you are our back, and we'll always be there for you. Anyway, and welcome. Thanks. Welcome to the Riverdale family. So, anyway, excited? You bet. Yeah, thanks, Mayor.
Go get them.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it's gone.
Mayor, I have one thing before we
Okay,
move on.
Counselor Hilton.
Okay, I attended a meeting at the Riverdale Senior Board last week, and the chairman of the board asked me to convey to the council and the mayor and the city administration their profound gratitude for our contribution to their new chairs, which they thoroughly enjoy and appreciate. They went in half, as you recall, with their own money, and they're thrilled. So they just wanted to let the city know.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's a good report. We like to hear that. All right. We'll now move on to consent items. Consent item number 1, consideration to approve the meeting minutes from the September 20th, 2022 council work session and the September 20th, 2022 council meeting. Are there any changes or corrections to these minutes other than ones we already discussed in our work session? Seeing none, a motion to approve would be in order. Counselor Hilton.
Move to approve the minutes from September 20th, 2022.
Okay, we have a motion
Second?
and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you. All right, consent item number 2. Review. This is a decision of whether or not to put on the future agenda the review of the council rules and procedures. Mr. Brooks.
Yes, as I mentioned in our pre-planning meeting, this is something we're supposed to do under your own rules every 2 years. We have new members come in. Really, every 2 years is what it's saying. We haven't done that for a long time. There are some parts in there that need to be updated and cleaned up a little bit. So my request was that we put this on for the next council meeting. That gives you a couple weeks to review those. Michelle sent those out to you electronically. If you have some comments or some additions or things like that, if you could give us some notice in advance. I do have a few myself that I'll be putting in there that we'll have that we want to discuss and update that. Just make sure we're on the up and up. And I think it's good for you guys to review those occasionally just to see, because there's some good stuff in there. So kind of tells you how we're supposed to be operating and
Yeah.
running our meetings. And
Could probably all use a review of that.
I figured it was good timing, so that's why
Yeah,
it
I'll
came
have
up.
to.
so.
I mean, I glanced over it, but yeah, I think it'll be good for all of us. So, all right. Any questions or comments about that? Nope. If not, a motion to put that on the next agenda would be in order.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say yes.
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 All right. That passes unanimously.
It's still I in there, so we're jumping ahead of that. So.
Yeah, the council rules and procedures
But-
say
but the
aye.
Confused.
But we
State
will
code
get
does say
that
yes, so.
updated to match the state code where it says yes. Well, I was trying to decide if I should be having Miss Maragoni poll the council on these things, or I'm not sure. Maybe Mr. Brooks, you can clarify that, whether I'm supposed to be getting a roll call vote on each item.
It never helps you, but you don't have to. If it's a budgetary money kind of thing, then we certainly have to.
Right, it doesn't help you at all.
We have never heard.
You said it never helps you. You meant hurt.
Did I say helps? I'm sorry. Yeah, it never hurts you. I mean, we
There's
can
very
always
few
do it.
things
Some
that
people
help
do
me
it just
with
routinely on everything, but and now that we're drafting those up and we're putting your names on the bottom of it anyway, we have good record of that, and really that's what we need more than anything. But
Okay.
as long as we have
I
that.
just want to make sure I'm doing it right. So, very good. All right. Action item number 1, discussion, review, and possible action regarding city drought water rates. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. This was a request by the mayor just to bring this back up and discuss it, and then you guys can make a decision whether you want to continue it or not. I've got Cody here to discuss financial issues and Sean here to discuss the actual water usage. So I'll just turn time over to them if they want to make a couple little comments on what their positions are and opinions, and then if you want to ask them questions after that, we can proceed that way.
So I'm going to start. As far as the water usage, we did fairly well in July when we implemented it. Our usage was down approximately 7 million gallons. August, we did even better. We're back in the 20 million gallon range. But then September, we flip-flopped. So I don't know if they just was comfortable with the rates by then and the usage turned around. We actually used more this last September than we did the year before.
Mr. Douglas. One thing is September was blazing hot. The first 10 days or whatever, it was like 100 degrees.
It's really hard to compare because we don't, it's hard to know, did we get a rainstorm and all that. All I have is, just year-to-year comparisons. I did feel like they worked fairly well the first 2 months, but then September's a little more concerning, and it's like, did people get used to it, or did they, maybe it was the weather, did they think, well, we need a little bit more?
Just one other comment. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think there might have been some people who were a little bit worried about what their new water bill might be. Mm-hmm. And then once they'd received a bill, let's see, so July they received it, the first part of August. And then once they received a bill or two and were like, oh, well, they may have said, okay, well, this isn't that bad. I don't know. They were kind of worried what it was going to be.
I think looking at bills, like, it wasn't as huge as what some of the stuff on the social media was making it out to be. And the people that were being fairly conservative, it really wasn't that bad. The people that was overusing, there was some huge bills out there and people were doing some crazy stuff. I think we've done a ton of education with it. And I think it also helped us as far as, we lost a lot of money last year when we asked people to conserve. When we don't sell water, it's hard to make it work. And just like what we had happen today, if we don't have money to put infrastructure in the ground, that's a huge concern because that's how we pay to put them pipes back in the ground or to keep them repaired. So I think I'm okay either way. I think we did do a lot of good with it. I think we've did a lot of education. I think people have got in the habit of conserving. So I'm not concerned if you do it either way. And I think if Cody's good with the financial side of it, we would both agree. It's kind of up to you. Maybe it's a reward for them for doing a good job, that they did try and conserve through the summer months and that we did some education and it helped. Maybe that's a reward, take a month off. I would ask that if you do it, that you make it retroactive, that it's only on future billings, not billings that have already been concluded, so that people don't come back and want to do it retroactively. So it would just be on a future bill that's going out, correct? That's what we talked about.
Which started what date for the
So
billing?
we would
that's
just do
underway?
the October billing but nothing.
Starts October 1st.
Yeah. So the problem is though, it's like some people that are maybe moving out or something, we might have already sent bills for somebody for a partial month usage. We don't want to have to go back and try and find all them and adjust them. We want to just do it on the October billing itself.
Yep.
If we do it.
And so I can explain this really quick to you, just so you can kind of see. This was a super quick analysis I put together. So you can see here's fiscal year 2022. So through September, we collected 533,000. 2021, 522. 2022, you can see we were down quite a bit because we asked people to conserve, so we only collected 383,000. For this fiscal year, you can see we're at 719,000. So at first it's like, holy cow, like we've got a lot of money. But keep in mind that Weber Basin went up 40%, so we had a 40% increase. So if we normalize this, so we're comparing apples to apples, that would have been that we would have collected 746,000 during 2020, 731 during 2021, and about 536,000 during 2022. So you can see in reality, our 719, we're still behind where we were if we normalize the numbers from 2020 and 2021. So you can see in total, our revenues were up about 35%. However, we had a 40% fee increase. Then down here, you can see here's the amount of water we use. So you can see our residents did cut back. And the water's down. So our usage is down about 39%. So overall, our calculation and our guess was really close. And if anything, we're behind a little bit from where we were in previous years, but it's not like we've got this absorbent amount of money. The other thing, if you look at this compared to the prior year, we were already behind 140,000 just because we didn't do anything with the rates and we asked people to cut back. So we're, like Sean said, we're okay, but it's not like we have, if you first look at this, it's not like we have tons and tons of money. And you can see that down here. This is the expenses for the year. And you can see we've pulled out capital, but our expenses have still went up about $400,000. And that's largely just due to the increases associated with Weber Basin and their 40% fee increase. So we're okay, but it's not like we've got tons and tons of money sitting around. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Councilor Stevens.
On the top row, you got FY 2023. Now, FY starting July 1.
Correct. So we're in 2023 right now.
Okay, so, but you've got this huge number, 719
I
year to date.
Mm-hmm.
That's so, in 2 months, we've collected that much money.
3 months.
3 months. Okay, and
But keep in mind, like if we would have had a 40% increase in our rate, which we need because Weber Basins went up, we would have collected 746,000 at this same time period in 2020. And we would have collected 731,000 in 2021 if we would have had a 40% rate increase like we needed.
So, and July, August are our two biggest revenue months year in, year out because of the outside watering. The rest of the months, once we hit November, December, they're going to drop way down.
Yeah, see, if you look right here, here's January. So the January in these years, so 2020, our sales were 76,000. 2021, it was 62,000. 2022, it was 57,000. So you can see we really make a lot of money during the summer, but that really just gives Sean money for capital projects.
So that's the only part I think that I'm worried about is, does Sean have enough money if we go back to the old rate, or should we leave it in place another month?
This month is not probably going to kill us one way or another. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of where you guys want to be. You know, if you want to do something that gives them something back for doing what they've done, it's not going to break us one way or another.
We made back what we lost last year.
We're not quite.
Not quite, but we're about there because we were 140,000 behind, and you can see we're almost like right on where we should be with our 40% rate increase. So,
Cody, you mentioned you pulled out the capital. I assume that's what Sean uses to modernize. Right. Is that
right,
true?
right. But trying, because the problem with including the capital is like some years he'll do like a huge water project, and so it'll look like our expenses are way up.
You amortize that, or you depreciate?
We depreciate it. So I was trying to just make these numbers so that like reoccurring expenses you're seeing
It's every year's expenses.
rather than seeing like
You're
these
okay, I'm
huge
okay.
peaks and valleys. So I think both of us were like, it's not like we made a ton of extra money. We're okay. So if you want to do it, we're okay. But if you don't do it, it'll just give us more money to do like capital sooner.
And do we foresee looming capital projects we wish we could fund?
Well, I think Sean's looking at
Always.
that freeway and thinking that might be $2 million. So, it's like, who knows? So it's up to you guys. So, any other questions for me? If not, I will sit back down.
It's kind of a bad day.
Yeah, it's a bad day to
Bad
talk
timing.
to Sean.
No, it's,
I just have a random question, Cody. I'm just curious why the number in 2022 was so different.
This one was so different
Yeah, like I'm just
because we
curious.
ask everybody to conserve, I think.
And so they
And
did
so
it.
that's where, because you can see, like, it's interesting because I would have thought July we would have had more, like, higher water rates and stuff. But you can see July wasn't a lot different, and I think we had a wetter July that year. And then it got where it was really dry, and so we started asking people to conserve, and so they did. And so you can see our water usage was down quite a bit, and so that's why our revenues dropped.
Yeah, 'cause
It's
that was
because
way
we've got, if you remember, our water rates are two-part. We have a base rate, and then we have a rate associated with usage. So if people aren't watering their lawns, then we really only collect a significant less amount. So you can see where the usage was down, that's where our revenues were down a ton too.
Got it. So thank
impressed
you.
with what they've done.
That's
Been
been
what?
our-
Sorry.
I've been impressed with what they've done.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like we're having to look to see if they made a change. They made a change. So
Okay.
as far as the drought conservation, they did try fairly hard, I think. And if you drive around the city, you can look at a lot of people's lawns and
Yep.
see the result.
Yep.
But I do feel like they tried. I really do.
So when we take away these drought rates, does that set us back to last year's rates, or did we do an
No,
increase independent of the drought?
We did that 40% increase.
Okay, and that's going to stay,
That's gonna stay.
but just not the drought tiers.
Drought
50,
tiers.
we're doing, we did a 40% and then an additional 50%
Got it.
drought rate. And,
Okay.
And
Then I think we're okay. I think it's a good idea. Let's reward them for their
Counselor Smith, thank
conservation.
you. Counselor Stevens, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did, but I'm not, it's,
One thing that I discussed with Mr. Brooks, we may want to look at doing our drought rates. Hopefully, we don't have to do drought rates next year. But in the event that we do, we may look at doing them slightly differently. Maybe putting more of the weight on the top tiers. I don't know. This was just the first time. And it worked. It got us through. People cut back their watering, but we were able to maintain our revenue. A lot of people don't understand that the money that comes into the water fund is not necessarily to pay for the water. A lot of it's to pay for the pipes and the employees, and it pays for the water department, not just the actual water. So when they cut back on the water, we still need a certain amount of revenue.
Sure.
And so,
Yeah, could I just make a comment,
Yeah.
please? Mr. Douglas, if you would, and I don't know if this is too esoteric, but Weber Basin or shut off secondary water, I think September, or no, October. When did they do
About
it?
October. It depends on so they had all different areas, and
Yeah.
so we have some Weber Basin secondary, we have some Pine View, we have some Davis Weber. So as far as Riverdale is concerned, we had all different shut off.
Well, where I'm going is I'm curious because we are unique in that we have it's all potable water and it's single usage. Well, this is anecdotal. A number of people that I know and associate with who have secondary water and it got shut off end of September-ish, 1st of October. And they said making comments. Well, I'm dragging hoses now to water because it got hot and I didn't have secondary water. I needed to water my lawn, and so I'm just curious if in 3 to 6 months, if we look at other municipalities where they are using it, if they're going to see a spike in their potable water rates because they don't have secondary, and that's just kind of. Curiosity, if that can be looked at in some sort of quantitative fashion. Anyway, that's all.
any other comments? Does anybody want to make a motion to take any sort of action on this, or What do you think as the city council?
I think we should reward them. I mean, I have heard, especially in just my neighborhood alone, definitely evidence of cutting back and kind of obeying the recommendation. And then I've heard lots of grief about how much their bills went up and everything. So I feel like, just from what I've heard personally, I say let's reward them.
And just, this is my take, just so you guys know a little bit. Like, I know that we don't have all the money that we need, but I think that Sean and Cody have said, look, we probably have enough that we can get by. And that's kind of our goal. That's my goal. I don't want to speak for you guys, but that's my goal in helping to run the city. Is all we ever want is just enough to get by. And so if we can make it through until next summer and have just enough, I think it's been a tough year for the residents. And so whether you consider it a reward for cutting back or just, hey, we had to raise property taxes, we had to do these drought rates to kind of get by this year, and we just want to do whatever you can. And I always want to help you guys find ways to help the residents. I don't get to vote on this. It's really up to you guys, and so you guys get to make the decision whether you're going to do this or not. But I would like to give you the opportunity to do it if you feel like it's smart to do that, and our employees are great. They always try to get by on whatever, and if we can get by this year and maybe cut it back even just for October, then I think that'd be a great thing for the residents.
Well, and I appreciate them also just kind of detailing both sides. I think it really helps us to have just a balanced understanding of what's ahead. So being honest that if they think we can get by without it, then I'm grateful that they were honest about that.
All right, so I'll move that
Okay.
we revert back to the pre-drought water rate.
Okay, so remove the drought rates.
Remove the drought, yeah.
And-
Excuse me, Bart?
As per what? What date?
Oh, as of October 1st, billings.
The October billings. Is it October 1st? Are we sure that's the?
It's the October billing, which is what will be coming up. They'll get that in November. So
I'll
But
call
I
it
don't
the
know if it's the
October
first. We might just want to say the
So I
October.
would just say like future billings effective for October.
So amended.
Yeah, future billings, because that takes care of your completed billing question too. So for future billings.
All right, because I was gonna say, how are you gonna handle?
Yeah.
Okay,
Helps
so
us a
it's
bunch,
it's
thank
kind of a floating.
Yeah, so for
Okay.
future billings.
All right.
Yeah, so is that good, Counselor Hilton? That's
Yeah.
what you want? Okay.
Second.
We have a second. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Ms. Maragoni, will you poll the council?
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Counselor Hilton?
Yes?
Counselor Merrill?
Yes.
Counselor Hanson?
Uh-oh.
Counselor Hanson?
Counselor Hanson? There you go.
All right, there we go. It passes unanimously. Very
Mayor,
good.
if I could just address something quickly, because I included everything in your packet that we've already passed. So those previous water rates that we did in the fee schedule, there's an ordinance, there's a resolution, and the mayor's administrative order. Going back and looking how we imposed this, it was really based upon the mayor's order. If you look in Riverdale City Code 8-1-12, there's a lot of discretion on the mayor to issue whatever he needs to do. Temporary rules, all that kind of stuff. And so my thought was if we issued another administrative order suspending that part of your previous order or that part of that action, but where that does involve budget, I wanted to make sure the council was okay with that because it was a financial issue. So I didn't prepare a resolution or an ordinance in that regard for that reason, because I still think it falls under his administrative order at this point. So we can amend it, and that's what I did include. There was an additional paragraph that I put in there. We left other things in place, telling them, still be careful, all that kind of stuff. But there is a paragraph in there that we're revoking those rates. So
Okay.
that's how I think we can do it, and it still gets us by okay. So.
And we
Just
just
so
know
you
we
know.
have the council's support
Right,
for that. So,
right. I wanted to make sure we had that where it did involve money, so.
Yeah, that's good. I think that was a good way to do it. Okay, very good.
Real quick. I just have a quick question. Is there a way to get a copy of that?
This.
Yeah.
Michelle has it. She's not.
I'm gonna send it out, Michelle.
Just if we only needed one, I'd give her mine.
All right. Move on. Move on to action item number 2. Consideration of ordinance 957, making amendments to Title 8 of the Riverdale City Municipal Code, specifically Chapter 6, regarding changes concerning the conveyance of water rights to the city on new development. Mr. Douglas.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we've discussed, this is just another option for a developer to come into Riverdale that needs to purchase water. They would be able to work through us to come with a developer's agreement and a contract and allow them to purchase water through Riverdale City from Weber Basin to meet their water requirements. The water would then be turned over to Riverdale City and put in Riverdale City's name, and added to our total water account with Weber Basin, and then we would just pay the annual O&M on it like we do on our other water. I think it'll work very well. It's an easy, quick way for them to do it. They're not searching all over for water, and I think the developers will like it, and it gives them a quick way to do it if they want to. If they already have water, they could turn their water over still. And if they want to go on the open market and look for a better deal, they can do that too. So I think it gives them just one more option and makes it easier for them. So if you have any questions, I'll try and answer them.
Isn't this something you wanted to do in the first place when we last amended this?
Yeah, we've been trying
should have
hard.
listened.
We've been trying hard to get more options. You know, I think every time you can provide them with one more tool, it just makes it easier. And not one tool fits everybody. So I think it's a good thing.
Any other comments or questions? If not, a motion will be in order. Counselor Hilton.
Okay, move to approve ordinance 957, making amendments to Title 8 of the Riverdale City Municipal Code, specifically Chapter 6 regarding changes concerning the conveyance of water rights to the city on new development.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Maragona, will you poll the council, please?
Counselor Hanson?
Yes.
Counselor Merrill? Counselor Hilton?
Yes.
Counselor Stevens?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to comments. Any comments from the city council? Okay. Any comments from the city staff?
The only thing I would mention just is that we have that fall cleanup coming, so if you need to pass that on to your neighbors or whatever, I think the 24th is pickup day, isn't it, Sean? So they can start taking stuff out on the 21st. So we want to take advantage of that since that's a program we give. It's been online, it's still on there, and newsletters and everything. But spread the word if you see neighbors and things. So
It really is a super
big
valuable
deal, yeah.
program, and we want them to take advantage because we pay a flat rate for it, right? So, yeah, get your stuff out there.
that's all I had, Mayor.
All right. I did have one other thing. We all received an email, I think, from the Pugmeyers. And I just want to let you know that I'll talk to Rich and we'll, just see what we can do. Maybe even have him come to our next meeting or something. Did you get that, Mr. Brooks, too?
I did, and I
You
talked to Rich this afternoon. I'll meet with him again
Okay.
tomorrow after department heads.
Okay.
We'll something figured out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all I have. So seeing nothing else, we would need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right. We stand adjourned.
Got you in there.
Gotta get quicker. Good work.